Gorica in Montenegro, and I will be the moderator of this session. At very beginning, I want to congratulations to organizer on such a wonderful event and say thank you on opportunity to be part of it. During this session, we will have three presentation from the youth who will show us their ecological community initiative throughout interactive presentations. Today with us are Caroline and Lauren Sandberg and Summer Benjamin from the United States, then Kevin Morales from Mexico, and we will have pre-recorded video from Samuel Chiokokyo Korea from Nigeria. House rules for these sessions are as follow. So we are going live on the YouTube and this session will be recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, please turn off your camera. Also, please keep your microphones off. If you have any kind of the comments or the questions, just write in the chat box and I will read it to the end of the session, which is provided for discussion. Our presenters will have 30 to up to 35 minutes for their presentations, after which we will give the floor to the evaluators for their comments or questions. So the first one who will present are girls from the Earth Warriors Environmental Club. So you have your time and floor is yours. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Welcome to our presentation here. It's called Plastics. We're going to focus on plastics from the summit to the sea. So okay, I'll go first. I think a lot of us here in this meeting have definitely met before, but my name is Summer Benjamin, and me and Caroline and Lauren started an environmental club at our school. And we've been part of POP since last year, since the very first POP festival where we presented there. And I'm coming to you from St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands.
Yep, and my name is Caroline Sandberg. I recognize a lot of you on the call as well. But I'm from, as Summer said, the Eco Eaters from the Environmental Club at Tahoe Expedition Academy, and I live in Lake Tahoe in the United States.
And my name is Lauren Sandberg. I'm also part of Eco Eaters. I joined about 2 years ago, right after they started the Eco Club and our project, Eco Eaters. And I'm also from Lake Tahoe, Nevada.
So if many of you have been to your presentations before, we usually like to start off with the Kahoot, which if you're not familiar, it's just a game where you answer some questions and then there'll be some winners and we'll see that here. So I think I will share my screen now. Caroline, do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. I can stop sharing and you can share.
Okay, let me just start here. So if you saw the instructions, you just go to kahoot.it.com and you're going to type in the code, the game pin that will show up when I share my screen here. Okay, so you should be able to get this game pin. Let me know if you have any questions on how to join here. Yeah, and as you can see, your name will pop up on the screen here when you have joined. And it's just a fun little kickoff game here. So if you don't want to join, that's okay, but it will definitely be fun.
unmute, but
She's someone's probably asking her a question. She's not in school right now.
oh, well, start. I did. She's not talking. Start video. Okay.
No.
Dude. I had started the.
Okay, I'm in as well.
Carter doesn't know what's going on.
I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer. Is anybody having trouble getting in?
Hey guys.
Hello,
Woohoo.
Ash.
Hey. It's so good to see you.
Hello,
big-
Ash. How are you? Greetings.
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. And how are you? Warm greetings and a big warm welcome.
Thank you. Here we are from Mexico City, and
Fantastic.
I'm not going to join the game right now because I prefer to just watch.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I hope things are going well with everyone. While we wait, I just wanted to check in. I hope all of you are doing well and staying healthy and happy.
Yes, well, it has been an amazingly busy year. It would seem that we are all confined, but I think we're all working twice as hard, which has been quite interesting. And
That's
it's
for
incredible.
sure.
And congratulations for this amazing program you have put together and for the participation of everyone.
Well, a big congratulations to you, because without the incredible support and engagement and contribution that you have provided, it wouldn't be. So I just wanted to say a very big thank you, and a big thank you to the Pop family too, for everybody in the Pop family, of which you are an integral part. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start it. Just let me know if you want me to not do that, but just to stay on time here. So basically how it works is the question is going to pop up on my screen or on your shared screen. And then on whatever device you're playing on, you're gonna see the places where you can click on the answer. And it will become more clear when it starts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started then. So yeah, there are 5 questions. First question is, how many plastic bags are used worldwide annually?
Would you kindly repeat the question once more?
Okay, so as you can see, it goes kind of quickly. So just try to put in your answer quick. So the right answer was 4 trillion plastic bags are used annually, which is a crazy number. But we'll go ahead and go to the next question then. And here is the leaderboard. It just is who answered quickest and who answered correctly. That's how it goes on. The second question is, how much beach litter is plastic? What percent? Okay, nice. Only a few of you answered that one right. I know that one's kind of tricky, but yes, 73% of beach litter is plastic. Okay, on to the third question, which is how long is the average plastic bag used for? Yep, 12 minutes. And this answer always shocks me because that is such a short amount of time to use a plastic bag that doesn't decompose for like thousands of years. Nice job. Okay, our fourth question is how much plastic ends up in the ocean each year? Yep, 8 million tons, so the biggest number on here. And we just have one final question, I think. Okay, so this is a true or false question. I hope you all can get it. So the statement is, we can all do something to help reduce plastic pollution. Yes, I'm glad everyone answered that question correctly. Of course, we can all do something to help reduce plastic pollution. And here are the winners. But you all did great. Okay, thanks so much for playing our game. It was a fun warm-up game here. That just leads us right into our presentation. We're going to be talking more about what you can do and what we have done to reduce plastic pollution. So I'll turn it over to Caroline here.
Yep, so now I'll talk a little bit about our Eco Eaters project. So 2 years ago, Summer kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but 2 years ago, Summer and I founded an environmental club at our school. And in the club, when we were brainstorming projects to work on, we kept coming across the same prominent issue of single-use plastics in restaurants in our town. And we live in a small ski town that has a multitude of tourists that visit each year. So the restaurants are a large part of the town and a large part of the industry in our town. So we thought of the idea of Eco Eaters, which helps restaurants reduce their single-use plastics and replace them with a compostable option or a recyclable option. And soon our group expanded outside of school and my sister joined us. And so we've had one main success so far, which is converting one of our local Thai restaurants from styrofoam takeout boxes to cardboard, they're compostable takeout boxes. But we've also gone around to just about every other restaurant in our town and at least talked to them about our project and kind of started the idea that they can switch to compostable options like the Thai restaurant has. So even though we've had small successes, it's still a start and we're excited to continue our project. Some of our other awards, I guess, or accomplishments has been we won a nationwide award for our project a couple of years ago. And then we've also presented at a couple international conferences like this one. And one of them was the Pop Festival last year, which was a great start. So I'll go to the next slide. And here are some pictures of our project. The top ones are from the Pop Festival last year, and then the other ones are just us in action working with other restaurants. I'll turn it over to Lauren to.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about what we decided to call Summit to Sea. As all of you likely know, plastic pollution is a major problem worldwide. But what I think many people don't realize is that plastic thrown away in one area often travels to an entirely different part of the world. So for example, we live in the mountains, which is very far inland. We're hundreds of miles away from the ocean, but lots of the plastic around here that is just litter or that we throw away in the garbage, it can end up in the ocean. As we saw from the Kahoot, about 8 million tons of plastic goes into the ocean every year. This is the same as placing 5 garbage bags of trash on every foot of coastline on our planet. And that's a lot. That means that not 1 square mile of surface ocean anywhere is free of plastic pollution. So even though the litter in the ocean that is directly littered makes up a very small portion, most of it actually comes from land. So there's 3 main ways that the plastic we use can end up in the ocean, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So the first one is throwing plastic into the normal garbage can when it could be recycled. This is just like a split-second decision. You think like, oh, I'm not sure if that can be recycled, or I don't want to take the extra second to throw it into the recycle, and it goes into the garbage can. And then you think, oh, well, that just goes to the landfill, and then it disappears. But in reality, since plastic is such a light piece of garbage, oftentimes what happens is when it's traveling to the landfill, it can blow off the garbage truck. And then it ends up cluttering around drains, and the drains enter into rivers, and those rivers eventually end up into the oceans. So even though it's kind of a long chain of events, the plastic that you simply throw into the garbage can actually end up polluting the ocean. The second one that I think is probably the most obvious is simply littering. Litter on beaches can easily be washed into the oceans, but litter on the street can also end up in the ocean. As we saw in the last point, it can end up in the drains, and then those enter the waterways such as streams and rivers, and those all eventually lead to the ocean as well. The third one that I think is probably the least obvious that nobody really knows about is products that go down the drain. So many of the products that we use on a daily basis can end up being flushed down toilets. So that's like wet wipes and cotton buds and Q-tips. And also the washing our clothes in the washing machine can also be harmful because there's little microfibers that are released into the waterways from your wash cycles. And those little microfibers are too small to be filtered out by wastewater plants. So then they end up into the water chain, the water cycle, and they end up being eaten by small marine species. And those small marine species are eaten by larger fish, and then eventually they can end up even in our food chain. So we all have a little bit of microplastics in us, and this is one of the ways that that happens. So whether we mean to litter or not, there's always a chance that the plastic we throw away today could eventually make it into the sea. So thank you.
So now we're gonna do our interactive activity. Summer, do you want to explain it a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. So another reason why we wanted to call it Summit to Sea, as Lauren just explained, is that everything in all the plastic waste that happens everywhere in the world usually ends up in the ocean. And we are coming to you from Caroline and Lauren are in the mountains, and I'm here on an island. So all of this is interconnected here. So the activity that we are going to be doing is just kind of answering some questions around your area and the plastic waste that's plastic pollution going on in your area, and what are the more specific problems related to that. And so we're going to be split up into breakout rooms, and each of us is going to be in a breakout room. So we will talk a little bit more about that when we get in there. So I think we can
sharing, yeah. And we can be put in breakout rooms now. Let's see if we can do that.
So Philo, if you're here, I think we can stick with the 3 breakout rooms.
Yes, Trisha's creating the 3 breakout rooms now.
Great.
Each of you will go into one.
Yes.
Yeah, Lauren's okay. Joining too, so she can go.
Lauren is joining through another account.
Yes, she is in here
Lauren
actually.
is on here on another account.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like a timekeeper. So just to keep a time, we have like about 20 minutes for your presentation.
Perfect, thank you.
Trisha, can you let us know if you're able to do it?
I just have a question from the host of the breakout room. Should we add you as well in the breakout room?
Yeah, please add one of us in each breakout room.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Hannah, did you say you had a question?
Yes, just super quickly. I think what you guys did with the Thai restaurant back home is really interesting. So before the breakout room start, I was wondering if you guys could walk us a bit through that process and how it can be implemented maybe in another city or another country.
Yeah, sure. So I can just talk briefly about how that happened. So we started by going around all of the restaurants in our town, and we kind of just took notes on which ones had more eco-friendly products and then which ones didn't. And there was another restaurant in our town that we worked with that used a lot of eco-friendly products. And so we kind of showed the Thai restaurant that they could model after this first restaurant that we found that was already using eco-friendly products. And we helped him compare prices. So I just met with the owner and I got his phone number, and then we just worked closely with the owner and kind of talked him through the benefits of having more eco-friendly products until he agreed. And he actually did a lot of the work on it. He found most of the products and where he could source them locally so that it'd be more cost effective for his restaurant as well. So I'd say just go, and if you want to do it in another town, go to a restaurant and then just ask for the owner's number or ask if you can speak to the manager, and then you can just talk to them and just work closely with them and help them find more cost-effective items in your local area that they could switch to.
And we just walked in to the restaurants and just tried to talk to someone. I find that is the most direct way to do it, rather than emailing here and trying to get in contact some other way. And of course, a lot of people aren't always willing to talk about that kind of stuff about their restaurant, but actually a lot of restaurant owners and just the managers in charge were willing to talk about it. So I think it's just taking that chance and going in and actually just going straight to the source. And so, yeah, we did research on our own and tried to figure out the most cost-effective way, because that is, of course, what we found restaurants were most concerned about, is the cost. Sorry,
thank you, that's really interesting.
Thanks for the question.
I think the rooms have been created. You will have to join them.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a notification yet to join a breakout room. Do you think you could add me into one of them, please?
Can you please check again?
Yes.
Have you?
Yeah, it's still not popping up for me.
For me either, I don't see anything.
I don't know. but the room is already created and some of them have also joined it. Should I recreate? What do you suggest?
Yeah, do you think you could try to recreate them one more time to see if the notification will pop
Okay.
up?
Okay.
It might have messed up. Thank you.
Have you got the request now?
Still no.
No,
unfortunately.
no, still.
I think Humberto has already joined room 3 and then Sam as well. I don't know what is the issue. I can see
Anyone
them.
else able to join other than those people who have already left?
Vanessa, Anna, are you guys able to join the room?
No, I didn't get a notification either.
Me neither. Maybe you
I
can
think
make
there's
some.
a technical issue. Then maybe we'll have to drop the plan of creating the breakout rooms. So sorry.
That's okay. We can just do it in the main room then. So I'm going to enter into the chat a document that has a list of questions on it. And let me see. Okay, I just entered.
Maybe, sorry, Caroline, maybe we can just say the question or put them in the chat, but say the question and then discuss it potentially instead of writing anything.
Okay, that sounds good. So I've entered the questions as a doc in the chat, but I'll enter them individually as well.
And so they're pretty basic questions. I think all of you will probably be able to think of it and find an answer. So maybe we'll ask the question and you can either raise your hand on Zoom virtually or raise your hand and we'll try to get see you. So the first question is, what are some plastic pollution issues you see in your community? So like, for example, I live on an island and I see a lot of styrofoam because we have open dumpsters. So lots of trash gets blown out of the dumpsters and just ends up on the street and gets washed down by all the rain into the ocean and areas like that. So if any of you have any plastic pollution issues that you've seen in your community or town that you want to share, please feel free. Yeah, or type in the chat, of course. If you want to speak out loud, definitely go ahead.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, please.
All right, so I am Samuel from Nigeria, and then in my community there's been a lot of issues in regards to plastic waste, and this has affected first the issue of lifestyle of the people living in the community. So it has given rise to some environmental issues like we have indiscriminate disposal of plastic. We also have indiscriminate disposal of with being bombs on the road. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's a little bit
Okay,
unclear, but we can definitely hear you.
Okay. You can hear me clear now? Better? Is it better? Let me say that the feedback.
Yeah, are you asking if there's feedback? Because there's, maybe you can type it.
I'm asking if you can hear me clearly, that's what I'm asking.
Sometimes we can, sometimes not. So maybe you can type it in the chat. That would be okay.
Okay, no problem. I was saying that in our community we have these issues of plastic waste that has eaten deep to the character of people, which has led them to indiscriminate waste disposal and indiscriminate burning of waste on the road. So it's been a hell lot of issues, and then we have been trying to do some things to get it out of society, to get it out of the reach of people. So we looked up with some stakeholders and formulated policy that can tackle this. So these policies are not actually policies that are human friendly, because over time, once these waste are being burnt, it generates a whole lot of issues in terms of health related issues, especially to people who are living close by. And at times, these waste are being burnt on the road. So you end up passing on the road and seeing people burning waste. And at times, too, these waste are being disposed in water channels. So basically, it's raining heavily, and people go to water channels and just dump their waste in those water channels. And most of their mentality is probably as it's raining, water can be able to take the waste away, and everything is cleared, so there's no more waste and all that. But it end up even causing more harm than good, because over time past, we've seen how plastic waste has caused flood in societies. We've seen how plastic waste has given rise to blocked water channels. We see how plastic waste has given rise to sea rising, which is currently what we are having issues now. We have also like the picture and summer displayed about plastic waste and how it has also affected the oceans, not just the oceans, but also the aquatic animals that also live in the oceans as well. So we met the administration, they formulated a policy, and this policy was on how to tackle plastic waste, and then they had to talk to the community and also pass a law that from now henceforth, disposal of waste indiscriminately is a criminal offense, which is punishable under the law. So currently, that is what we have been able to do to tackle plastic waste in our society. And also, we are also telling people on how to use waste properly, and also talk about recycling culture. So we engage them students, okay, teach them about how to do local recycling, since we don't really have the machine, we don't really have the machine to do the real big recycling stuff. So we taught them how to do local recycling, so they can be able to like use water bottle, decorate it, put your little flower inside, and we also taught them how to also use and we also taught them the single-use plastic hygiene, so which has to do with reuse. Okay, once you finish using, do not dispose, but you can wash it and as well reuse. So this is some of the things we have really done in terms of tackling plastic waste in our societies, and I think it's really been awesome, because at a point we even had recommendations from the ministry about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, definitely it's important to change policies for sure. That's a great solution. And of course, educate students and young people on what is going on and what they should be doing. And I see in the chat here, we've had a few answers. Thank you guys for putting that in. Burning of plastic and burning of trash, that happens where I live as well. That's definitely a huge issue. And it's an example of something that people are just used to doing, and it's just what is normal. Yeah, that is a huge one for sure. Caroline,
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of great answers. Also, dumping plastic around water bodies, I've seen that too. And then lots of littering on the roads, handing out plastic bags. There should be solutions to all of these. So I agree that these are a lot of problems that should be easily solved. Does anybody have any other answers that they'd like to speak out loud, or that you'd like to put it in the chat?
I kindly ask you if you have anything additional to add, to do that in, next few minutes, and then we will give the floor to our evaluators for their comments and questions.
Okay, thank you. So, so just closing up, I want to say thank you all for joining. And we had a great discussion at the end there. So it's great to continue that conversation outside of this Zoom call, just with friends and family at your own home, to see if you can find solutions in your own communities to reduce those plastic waste and those plastic problems. Summer, if you have anything else to add, or Lauren.
Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you all for listening. Sorry this didn't go exactly as we had planned. We had a little bit more to talk about, but I know our next session will be great. So thank you all.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you and congratulations on your all job that you've done until now and to this presentation, even if it didn't go as you imagine. I think that we all got the clear picture about your activities, and that maybe we share some new information or maybe something that people think that know, but they don't know about the waste. Now I will give the floor to Mrs. Rouge or Mr. Mansteman, if I pronounce it well, for their comments, please.
Hi, thank you very much, Giovanna. And thank you very much, Summer, Carl, and Lauren. I think it's really important that we talk about this issue, plastics, and how it affects us on our cities and our oceans. Normally, people who live not coastline, they think that our plastics, they don't pollute the oceans. So sometimes we don't take that issue so seriously. But the thing is that everything is connected, and now we are seeing that during COVID. So thank you very much. So Joanna, should I start presenting the becoming an eco warrior?
Yes, I think that you can if we don't have any other comments.
So, well, let me know if I begin and if you can see my presentation.
Yes, you shared the screen. Go ahead.
Perfect. So first of all, my name is Kevin Morales Munsterman. I'm Mexican, and I'm co-founder of Academia Borussia. It's a sport, social, environmental project supported by a German football team called, or soccer, so some countries say, it's called Borussia Dortmund. And with this project, we have started also an environmental project called Resilient 2020, which today I will barely talk about it because in the following days, we'll talk more about it more profoundly. So the idea for today is to talk about how to become an eco warrior. And I will start with the question: what will you do if you have only 5 minutes to avoid Earth's tipping point on climate crisis? So the thing is that there's some studies that say comparisons about the history of the planet and the history of life on our planet, and compare it in 365 days. And it would say that in the last day on December, humans were born. Well, they came to our planet, and in the last minute, it's these civilizations. So the idea is that we don't have 5 minutes. We have less than 5 minutes, probably 5 seconds. But well, it's more we can think more about if we think about 5 minutes and what we could do. Sometimes a decision just only takes us 5 minutes, and changing a decision, making a really good decisions, will make a really good difference in our world. So let us take into a future. And these are some newspapers that will come up eventually. Sadly, some we won't be able to avoid them. So, for example, it says that in 2048 there will be no more seafood available on our planet. Some say it could happen even earlier in 2040. By 2030, which is almost in the corner, probably in some countries we will have civil war because of some countries will lack of water. And this is already happening. For example, in Mexico, in the north part of Mexico, we have problems, people fighting against each other because of water. And we have had in the history of planet wars because people lack of water. So this will eventually happen. And in most cities, big cities, they will get to day zero. And that means that there will be no more available water for cities between 2025 and 2030. For example, that's the case for Mexico City. And some cities have already reached that point. For example, Cape Town last year in summer, they almost reached that point, and because eventually it rained, it didn't exactly get to day zero. So, but eventually that will happen in the following years. By 2047, coral reefs will disappear. But that means that a lot of food will disappear also, and a lot of oxygen will also disappear. And this thing is already happening. So we don't have time. And by 2100, some of the species will extinct. For example, polar bears. It is already happening with some animals and some plants and insects. But the idea is that some of those animals that we love the most and that we feel connected to them, we won't see them any longer. And that's because of the things that we're doing right now and the decisions that we're taking right now. And seeing all that, it comes out that also some say that scientists can get together and think about the Earth's temperature that has been taken in the last years and how it's going to be in the future. But the thing is, if you compare studies such as here in the screen, you can see that most scientists, they are together in the same idea on how is global temperature going up in the last years, and due to human productions and human consumption, and of course how we are our population is going to increase. And if you see this graphic, you could see that most of the countries that harm our world are countries that are linked to most productivity, such as United States, European Union, China, Russia. And 5 out of 30 billion metric tons worldwide are produced from the rest of the world, which is not that much compared to these few countries. But we can't blame these countries because we have some responsibility on it, and we can't blame our governments. We need to take actions ourselves. And such as how Pachauri said, Dr. R.K. Pachauri said, we have a responsibility to change our carbon footprints. And it's not only a responsibility, but a compromise. And if we compare these productions and how is the global warming predicted to happen, it means that by 2030 we'll have almost 3 out of 10 people lacking food and lacking water. It says some science says that by next year 2021 we could actually reach the point of 1.5 degrees above the pro-industrial areas. So the idea is that we will have the first year with this issue. Of course, global climate is not only for 1 year, it's an average of 7 years of weather and temperature. So the idea is that even if we get to that point on next year, we are not on 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial years. But it will mean that by 2030, we could be getting with that temperature as a baseline and not as a tipping point and our goal as we set on Paris agreements. So we need to do something right now. And there's 3 things that we could do. Every person could do 3 things. First is transforming your life. Second, making a community. And third, join a movement or a project. So the idea is that in order to transform our life, we need to ask questions to ourselves. And we don't need to do it all of this in the same time, because it's difficult. Sometimes it takes time and sometimes it takes also money. So the idea is we could plan that each year or each month we improve ourselves. So the idea is to think about it. What do we eat? You know, plant-based food can save animals, but also animal industry is one of the most pollutants. Some say that it's the most polluted industry, and some say it's the second, the third. It depends on where you look for the information. But the idea is, if we start eating more plant-based food, then we could actually improve our planet. I don't mean everyone to become vegan. Maybe for some people that will be impossible or very difficult, but the idea is how to change ourselves in order to make it better and make it easier to make an effort eventually to change our partners of doing anything so that we can improve our world. The second thing is to ask ourselves, what do we buy? So the colors we use are and the clothes we use are very important. Some clothes, such as denims and black color, are so much polluted, and water that is used is no longer useful. Washout and holes for example, in our pants, it is made by acid. So also that water is difficult to be reused. We need to try to avoid single-use plastic, such as eco-eaters just told us. And we need to change the type of soap that we use right now. We can even produce it, and it is extremely cheap to produce organic soap, organic shampoos, toothpaste, and it is good for the environment. So we can actually learn how to do it and change it. Also, we need to talk about how we acquire services. Our houses are designed right now in a way that we harm the environment, and we need to change it in order to improve the environment. And how we do it, for example, is by installing solar panels. Of course, not everyone can do it, and it's expensive. And solar panels are being discussed if it's so good for environment, but it's a way to start. And if you can do it, please do it. Second, we need to try to produce our food in our house by using greenhouse, for example, compost, and try to consume for local producers. That will save money, and also that will save pollution, because that we will need to transport food far away to our homes, but also we will incentivize the local community economy. We need to change the way we consume our gas. We could use biodigester and solar heater in order to save gas from produced by fossil fuel gas. And we need to also install rainwater harvesting for our cities, our towns, and try to make water treatment in order to avoid harming the environment, and also trying to avoid water to be polluted, and that is also a health risk, which we are now facing this global problem of health. And finally, we need to ask ourselves how we move. Walking, for example, is the best way, and the last way we need to do it is by airplane. So each way we use, we move will damage the environment in a different way. So try to walk more. That will also be good for your health. We have all been part of a problem. Now we need to be part of the solution. So that's the first thing, transforming ourselves. The second thing, we need to make a community. It doesn't matter if I do it in my house and I change myself, but if we don't connect and try to help others to do it, then we won't be able to save the planet. Some say that if we reach 3.5% of the world population, then there will be a mass movement, and then our planet will be saved. And that's how every revolution starts, with 3.5% of the world population or local population. So that's what we need to do. Try to reach 3.5% of the population. And finally, join a movement. There's plenty of movements. For example, this one is called Extinction Rebellion, which is great that they're trying to use civil disobedience, such as one that used Dr. Martin Luther King in order to stop racism in United States, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. They're trying to use the same kind of ideas. Obviously, not every movement is perfect, and we can work to perfect each movement. We can also be part of Fridays for Future, which is extremely good. The idea that it was the way it was created. So it was a movement that decided to make an event each week on Friday evening in front of the parliament. So it doesn't matter in which part of the country you were, of the world you were. It doesn't matter if you know anything of how it's Friday for Future is organized. You only knew that if you go in front of parliament at evening and in your country, then you can go and join a movement from Fridays for Future. And that's good because it made a movement go with patterns each day, each week. So it doesn't get forget as normally it happens with each movement. So join a movement such as Fridays for Future. And of course, join a movement like Pop Movement, which has projects that they help. There's a lot of projects going on in all the world. Please join those projects, learn from them, and try to help them. And so I will talk a little bit about our project. It's called Resilience 2020. Resilience 2020, changing the world from home, is the idea of a project that if you change your home by installing eco technologies, such as these 5 initial eco technologies, such as greenhouse, biodigester, compost, solar heater, and water harvesting for free, then you can change the world. So what we do is that we install these 5 eco technologies and we use the sub-products in order to make a circular economy model to impact the world. And that's how we try to make a change starting by home. So now the idea, and I will ask you, everyone who is watching right now, is that each project from Pop Movement needs help in order to make it better, in order to improve, in order to try to transform their country, our world. In our case, with Resilience 2020, we joined a crowdfunding, which is right now the link in the bottom right. And today, with this crowdfunding, for every dollar that we receive, the crowdfunding doubles for us. So please, you can help us with even with $5, and that would make a big change for our project. What we want to do with this project is to reach worldwide, but we're starting in Mexico City. And that's how we can do a lot in order to become eco warriors. Try to start with yourselves, with your family, in your home, changing how is your home installed by using eco technologies, and trying to change the way we consume in our homes, and then try to connect with everyone who's around you, community, families, friends, societies such as universities, and eventually join a movement, join a project, join the projects that have been started with Pop Movement, and then you can help us save the world. Thank you very much.
Dear Kevin, thank you very much for this passionate presentation and energy that you show to us. I think that maybe we can say that the main message of the presentation is to be the part of solution. So I now invite the evaluators to give a comment, or maybe also if anyone who are listening right now have some comments, it can now ask or write in the chat box, and then I will read it, please. Also, Kevin, you can stop sharing your screen.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. You got a lot of messages saying congratulations for the great presentations, brilliant presentation.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any kind of the question or comment for Kevin? Okay, then we can go on. Now I want to announce colleague Samuel and his initiative Youth for Today. I just ask Drisha or anyone from Pop family to play the video. Thank you.
I bring you greetings of love and peace from Nigeria. I am Samuel Chijike Okorie, a climate activist and environmentalist. Climate action is on us, and we all have to take that action to protect our planet. Over the time past, I've been engaged with stakeholders, policymakers on how to promote sustainable environment and also bring life to our environment. And Pop Festival is coming up soon. Pop Festival is a festival whereby all youth are being engaged and also their work in time past are being showcased. And I'm using this avenue to invite everyone out there to the Pop Youth Festival coming up from the 1st to the 5th of December 2020. And I'm going to be speaking live at the Pop Festival. And I know you wouldn't want to miss it. So see you there. Thank you.
Okay, I think that Samuel is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes,
Okay,
great.
everybody. Okay.
So also congratulations for your initiative as well. Do you have any kind of the comments maybe or the question for the Samuel? Does anyone else want to share with us their thoughts about this topic or maybe some initiatives that you done in your country?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my work. Dr. Ash just asked that. And then, so I'm a climate activist and an environmentalist. And it's a social justice advocate for women and children. And then I've been doing activism for over 3 years now. And then it's been really awesome. There are times you really want to give up because probably when you don't expect the results you're looking for, you just have to keep pushing until the result comes up. So that is what we activists we actually do just to make sure that the results are gotten and then we don't give up. So over the time past, we've engaged with so many stakeholders like you saw in the video and trying to make sure that they adopt the right policies, they do the right thing, and they also make the environment conducive and favorable for everyone. So okay, let me just make brief sharing about what we did during the lockdown. So during the lockdown, we engaged them with the Commissioner for Environment, and then we told him about the necessary actions to take. So we also noticed a society that is surrounded by flood rather, and also surrounded with water tide. So we spoke with the Ministry of Environment, and then we asked them how can they help, because we told them we needed seedlings, we needed over 4,000 seedlings to plant in this community in order to tackle the issue of flood, and also in order to tackle as well the issue of tide, because we believe trees are strong resilient force to tackle these issues, especially when you don't really have you didn't really do any sand filling in those places, or you want to build any structure and all that, but just want to preserve the place and conserve it for white species. So we got an answer from the ministry. So they helped us, they provided us with people to survey the land for us. They provided us with the director for biodiversity, and then we are able to go to the community and then we kickstart the project. So kickstarting the project, we have to involve people in the community. They have to come around to talk about what they have been facing through and the challenges in terms of flooding, in terms of water tide that often come at times and their homes and everything is being destroyed. So we also gave them some funds to tackle the issues they are facing in terms of replacing those things. And then we planted over 4,000 mangrove seedlings in that community. And to date, this happened during COVID-19. So it's one of my success stories during COVID-19 that we are able to solve an issue of flooding in a community that was surrounded by water pipe. And then we are also able to give them some palliative as well to also compensate them for their losses and something that we've achieved during this COVID-19. And like I shared earlier about us teaching children on how to engage in local recycling in their environment. So in COVID-19, we form what we call Hobbit. So Hobbit is more like hold it until you gain it kind of strategy in a way to tackle plastic waste in our communities, whereby we engage youths who are children as young advocates for the environment by signing up as green guards in the environment. So we are able to achieve this. And I would say that COVID-19, the lockdown was really a blessing in disguise. So I have to just say that it was more like a blessing in disguise because we are able to do most of the environmental things we've been hoping for, and we are also able to carry out and implement some policies which we have been looking up to for a while now. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, you can as well ask.
Thank you, Samuel, a lot. Does anyone want to give an answer to the Samuel or comment? I saw that we here in the chat box have a very active discussion about compost. So Kevin, maybe you can briefly explain what you are writing to colleagues.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So some are questioning what would I do if I live in a building? So first of all, through our project, we are changing some eco-technologies in order to make them small and ideal for buildings. So I hope eventually we can reach your home or your building. The idea is to start by changing our way of life, our consumption and our production. And I will also suggest everyone who is here hearing us to join on Saturday. There's a workshop in Pop Festival that is being given by Jimena Gabilondo, and it will help every person reach this goal of becoming more eco-friendly and becoming eco-warriors through a very great organized calendar that everyone can follow easily. Not everyone, and that is really important to say, not everyone can change 100% because of each reality from each person. But the idea is to not stop by saying we are changing something and that's enough for us. Is to try to think on how we can do more each day and each month and each year. And that's what we need to do.
That's great. Thank you. Is anyone else want to add something? Maybe Ms. Rouge can now give her comments or questions if she's able. Dear Ivan from the Pop Movement, can you repeat your question because I cannot find it? Okay. Is there a way? Okay, yes. Please.
Yes, well, I really congratulate you. I think all three projects are amazing. The last one, I would like to understand it a bit better, you know, like I think the first two projects were very well presented, but I have some questions about the Samuel's project from Nigeria. How do you think you can implement this? You know, it isn't quite clear to me how this can be actually implemented.
Okay, so thank you for that question. How the implementation process of this project is by stakeholders engagement and also engagement with other organizations. So first of all, we have identified the problem in the society, and secondly, we've identified necessary stakeholders. We moved on to people that implement the policies, so the ministry and then the government. So we had to get in touch with them to tell them that these are the problems that these people are facing. So they passed the policy for us to they passed the policy based on what you told them. So the policy was more on tackling flooded areas and also providing necessary support they need. So while they passed this policy, we also reached out to other organizations in terms of advocacy, especially organizations that are into loss and damage control, and organizations that are into reforestation and conservation. So we reached out to them. They helped us out in gathering most of the resources we need, while the government helped in giving some compensation plan for the victims of these incidents. So that is how we are able to get remedy to these issues. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Okay, now how much of this is already happening right now?
Okay, and currently many is we try tackling a particular community, but we also know that there are other communities that this is also happening. And if nothing is being done, this is dry season already. So let's just say January, February is going to be rainy season, and we knew that it's going to be more severe than how it was last year, because this year, based on prediction, though in Nigeria, based on the prediction that it's going to be really rainy this year, but we didn't really experience heavy downpour this year. But we know next year is going to be really high, because based on predictions and all that, trying to observe the seasons and all that, we know that if it doesn't happen this year, next year is going to be like ×2 of what should be, of what should have happened last year. So we are trying as much as we can to prevent this. So we are looking for more collaboration and for more support in terms of getting funds to raise savings to assist these communities, and also to help youth too, because we want to create a youth awareness platform whereby you to be aware of what is actually happening in the community, and also seek for a way of tackling those issues, because it's good that we help people solve problems and not basically being the problem solvers ourselves. In as much as we are going to do it, but we are not going to remain in that society or community forever. So we need people that are indigenous in that community to be able to know how to tackle this issue. In case it replicates itself, whenever it does, they can be able to provide a sustainable solutions to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. And I have a question also for Kevin. In your presentation, I liked it very much. I think it's very clear. And do you have some, is this happening close to where you live? Are you living up to this?
Yes. Last year in April, I almost died because of a bacteria, and since then I changed my life. I became vegan, and I decided to change all my life, and install eco techniques here in my house, and join a community of people who we are now running a project, the project I presented called Resilience 2020. I also joined in Extinction Rebellion, and now I obviously since March I became part of Pop Movement. So yeah, I try to say that everything I'm telling you, I'm following it. But there's, even though if it's great that my life is good, I still have some mistakes which I obviously trying to improve. I will say there's, and I know it's repeating, but there's a person, the only person I know who lives more environmental friendly than me. Obviously, there's many people that do it in the worldwide, but I don't know them personally. There's one that I know, and she's Jimena Cabilondo. I learned a lot from her, and she's the one who is going to give the workshop on Saturday in the festival. So I will encourage everyone to join this workshop and learn more about it. And about the eco technology as well. If we started in my house, but now with the project we are trying to improve them in order to make each house sustainable, resilient, and eventually even economic independent.
Okay. Where are you living? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm from Mexico City right now. That's where we're starting the project.
Okay, and where in which part of Mexico City?
In Coyoacán.
in Coyoacan. Okay,
Which-
I'm also in Mexico City, just asking.
Great. So the
Okay.
people who don't know Mexico City, so it's Coyoacan is in geographically is almost like in the middle. Geographically, it's not the center of Mexico City, but in geographically it is. So that's where I live.
Great, thank you. And I have a question also about to Lauren and Caroline. I liked very much your, the game, in Kahoot It. Now, how far-reaching is it? How many people are you reaching out to?
Are you talking about for our project? How many people are we reaching out to? So we've mostly met with, we live in Incline Village, which is a smaller town in Lake Tahoe, and then we go to school in Truckee, which is another smaller town in Lake Tahoe. So we've reached out to restaurants in both areas, and we've reached out to other environmental groups in both areas. So we have a lot of connections in our local area. And after presenting at these like pop conferences, we're hoping to reach out to other students in the larger scale all over the world and all over the country. So right now, we've mostly just done work in our local area in Incline Village and Truckee, but we have connections to people in a larger area. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but we've mostly just worked locally, but we're hoping to expand a lot larger. And we've talked to Ash and other people about getting more students on a larger scale involved.
And do you think that youth in the US and in your area have they reacted positively during the pandemic, and has the pandemic helped to make them more environmentally aware? Let's put it that way.
Yes, definitely. So I can talk shortly about another project that we just did in our environmental club during the pandemic. So just a couple months ago, at the end of September, was the Global Day of Climate Action. And so a year ago from this year, we went and we did an actual climate strike in person. But this year, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do that. So we did a shoe strike for climate action, where we had everybody donate shoes, and then we set up the shoes with posters and stuff. So it was kind of like the whole community and other students could get involved, but having shoes stand in place for them. And then they were able to just walk by or drive by for a brief moment of time. So that's how we've gotten other students involved. And as far as becoming more eco-friendly during the pandemic, I've definitely seen an improvement in that with my own friends and in my own school, how we've realized that you really don't need to travel too much to have fun really with friends and everything. It's easy just to stay local, and you don't need to, and you can stay home too. You don't need to be driving everywhere to all of these different places. So that's what we realized just as far as pollution with cars goes.
Oh, great. Thank you. And Samuel, where are you physically right now?
Me or Summer? Sorry.
Samuel.
Oh, Samuel.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in Nigeria currently. I'm in Nigeria.
But yes, in Nigeria, where exactly?
Okay, I'm in Lagos State.
Where?
Lagos State.
In Lagos. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the population of Lagos right now?
The population of Lagos right now is, I can give an estimate of over 20 million. Over 20 million to an extent. I can give an estimate of over 20 million, because the population of Nigeria is over 200 million. So we are estimating 205 million, the population of Nigeria currently, because due to high birth rate and all that. So, and COVID-19 too didn't actually affect our population that much compared to other countries, because we have to tackle it on our own way. So the population currently is 205 million. So dividing the census across states, Lagos is one of the most populated states in Nigeria, followed by Kano and or the rest, followed by Kano and few other northern states. Then you get to some southern states like River State, which is also one of the most populated as well. But when you're talking about population, if you look at the northern states like Kano, then you look at Lagos. So that's how you compare the indices. That's why I gave them 20 million as an estimate. It may be more than that anyway.
So you have a great challenge to involve so many people, don't you?
Actually, involving so many people is not the challenge, because I believe we youth, we network. Life is more of network. So I believe when I reach out to one person reach out to another person reach out to another person, the message is being passed. One of the challenges we are facing currently is how is manpower actually. So because nobody really want to do a free work, and that was a free work. So people really need what we motivate them to do it. And I have experienced one of the issues that has to do with climate change, and that was 2 years ago when I was having some respiratory issues. So that was really when I picked up interest in climate action. So I was having these respiratory issues as a result of exposure to smoke from cars, and then also from dust as well that comes out once people rush around and all that. So it happens persistently, like to a point. I went to a pharmacist and they told me that I was developing a heart failure. Some told me that I was developing a kidney failure and all those kind of disease and all that. So I was really scared and all that. But I have to study the environment I was, and also have to study my health. And I realized that number one, I'm not asthmatic, and nobody's asthmatic in my family. So you wouldn't want to say it's something that's from gene and all that. So after that, I had to move back to Lagos. It didn't happen at all when I was in Lagos due to the area, due to the location I was. Then going back to Cross River State, it happened again. So I had to know that their air is really porous, okay, which affects humans, which affects to an extent the lifestyle of some persons. So I realized too that the way carbon is being burned there is also something else. So whenever I go to Cross River State, that is where I studied in University of Calabar. That's where I studied. I graduated from Department of Sociology and Anthropology. So I realized that whenever I go back to Calabar, I have these health issues, especially when it comes to respiratory issues. So that was why I picked into climate change and start advocating for good and sustainable environment, fresh air, green environment, life in our environment, and then calling on people as well as young advocates and activating youth in my community and my society to talk about these things. And I also went further to take a course with Harvard and EDX on climate and health, where I got certification on those issues that have to do with relative disease and illness that is attributed to carbon emission. Thank you. I don't know if that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Giovanna. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Rouge, on your nice words. I just miss to explain that the project of colleague Samuel is just an additional presentation here, and we will done evaluation just from the Kevin and Caroline projects. But I'm so glad that we have such active discussion over here. Also, I just want to call Ms. Rashi Mehta to give her comments or opinions on the project, also on overall discussion.
Hi everyone. So I felt like the presentations were really good, especially the one with Kevin and Summer, where they really took us, in great detail and clarity what they were trying to say and what the initiatives were. I still feel like it lacks a bit of idea where, the accessibility and the feasibility of it, I'm still not sure. Like if we implement more places, because right now they are smaller movements. But I'm sure there are ways where we could work around, local level changes that we would need at each city or country level. And these things can actually make a big difference. So yeah, great job, guys. That was a great presentation for me.
Well, thank you a lot. We just missed one also question for the colleague Ivan, and I think that this is a question for all of you three. Is there a way in which all of your project could be connected? What do you think? Anyone can give an answer.
Okay, yes, the project can be connected, okay, and is something that involves lives, okay, and I tell people something, and anything that threatens life is a threat to fundamental human rights, and then climate action can be able to can be interchanged or can be interwoven in all the 17 SDGs because it's a threat to life, it's a threat to sustainability. So that is what I basically have to say. Climate change can be interwoven in everything. It's a threat to life, and anything that is a threat to sustainability is a threat to life, not just to life on land, but to life in person and to life in biodiversity, ecosystem, and whatever I have to think. And then I don't know if that's really answered the question he was asking. And then so that is basically what I have to say. If any other person have something else to add, I wouldn't mind.
Okay, thank you, Caroline or Kevin. Do you have comment?
So the question's how do our projects connect, correct? Okay, so I was going to say just how our projects connect is Kevin and Sam, what they were talking about plastics and the effects of plastic kind of connect directly to our presentation about just how we're implementing that. So I think that's the main way that they connect, is that they were talking more about how like lifestyle changes, like Kevin was talking about lifestyle changes that you can take, which is a big issue. And then ours is kind of another step besides lifestyle changes, how you can implement them in a community too, on a larger level than just yourself. But I think that it's all important. You definitely need to start with the lifestyle changes, and then you can move forward to implement them in the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. And Kevin?
Yes, I would say that the SAML project and mine, we connect within lifestyle changes. But one of the things that we use from the eco technologies is that we reuse some products such as plastic bottles. With that, we produce, for example, greenhouses and water harvesting. So there's also that way to connect with Caroline project. And through the circular economy model, I didn't explain it perfectly because we will do that on Wednesday and Thursday. But the idea is that we also connect with restaurants. So that's how we can actually impact together eco-eaters and our project. So I would say also that there's a way that we connect with Reconnect is to make a bigger community, because eventually everyone is trying to make an impact in their community right now. But what we won't need to forget is that we are trying to achieve the same goal. So we need to learn from each other, and we need to try to make a bigger community of people who are into these environmental issues that we are facing. So that's a big issue. Everyone is trying to do it from their house, from their community, but eventually it's a bigger community, which is worldwide.
Well, thank you a lot. I think that we are slowly approached to the end of the session. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for, first of all, for your great work that you are conducting every day in your communities. Also to your presentations, because now the bigger community can see and learn how we can solve some of the problems that we think that we are not, that they're bigger than us. Also, thank to our evaluators for their great questions and comments, and they help during these presentations. And I know that for our presenters, it will be very valuable. I think maybe the main message of this session could be just be a part of the solution. And I now will invite all of you to take active part of the other session in the workshop during the following 5 days, because I think that this is not just something that will stay on the level of our discussion. I know that we can make the bigger impact. If you so we have just one more question. I'm so sorry. From Ms. Mehta is, what about underdeveloped countries? How do they cope with your ideas? Can anyone of you give an answer or thought about this question?
If I may, through our project, for example, people who live underdeveloped countries, they can change their own way of life. And sometimes we don't see it precisely, but if they change, they will save money. And I think they are the ones who are suffering more about the issues that we are facing right now. So for example, if they produce their own soap, organic soap, it is around 1.5 cents of a dollar for each liter. That's the cost. So eventually it helps people to produce organic soap. And if we use eco technologies, you'll learn more about it on Wednesday, but people earn from money from our project. So that's how also they can impact. And also, I would say in general, people that live in underdeveloped countries, they are because they are suffering the most. They are also the ones who have more pollution in our countries. They use more plastics, and that's also harms increasing the problems in their own countries. So they need to change also, even though they're not the ones who are polluting more the planet.
But sorry, I'll just wanted to add, that was my question. But how do they cope? Because they don't have the financial abilities. How do they cope with these things? Like, is there some form of benefit that you can give them where they'll be able to afford these? Because see, all these technologies do always cost more. So it's very difficult to mass price it at this stage. So like developed countries can afford these kind of things, but like underdeveloped countries where the mass is actually poor, it becomes a little challenge to tell someone that, hey, go solar, or maybe, switch to some eco products. Because even organic products sold, say, for example, in India, do cost more. It's not cheaper.
Through our project, sorry if I answer
No,
directly,
that's
but
fine.
Through our project, people, they don't need to spend anything for the eco techniques. We install these eco techniques for free in their homes. We will also explain that on Wednesday. But one thing is how we finance that is also because of the crowdfunding. That's why I was asking because today to donate to us, because every dollar that you donate today, they will double it for us. So that's how we try to impact people. They don't need to spend anything in order to install the eco techniques, but they benefit from the eco techniques. They earn money about it. So that's how we can change. And producing some stuff such as organic products. Actually, for example, one of the soaps that we try to make people produce comes from a nuts that comes from India. So if you live in India, it will be even cheaper for you to get these nuts. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but that's how also people can change their own life.
Okay, can I say something? I don't know if we still have a little time left.
Yes, please.
Okay, so actually, one thing I would like to add to what Kevin just said. For me, I feel I have this strong sense of advocacy. Okay, and for me, I feel it has to do with call for action, because first of all, if you look at the chart of countries that emit the highest carbon, you look at China, which is the highest. You look at US, you look at some American countries and all that. But the heat falls back to the developing countries. It falls back to the global south. Okay. And then one of the things, like, okay, Caroline posted something about I don't know if it was Caroline or Calvin that posted something about rebel, whatever. I think I saw something that they show. I don't know. But it has to do with call for action. It has to do with them taking responsibility for what is happening. So if basically they are having issues of flood, if basically they're having issues of plastic waste and it's affecting them in their health, it's affecting them negatively, it has to do with them saying enough is enough. And that is why I am the spokesperson for COPMOC 26. I'm the spokesperson. And then one of the areas we've centered on COPMOC 26 is more of call for action, is more of youth involvement in climate activism, and also ways whereby the rights of youth activists are protected when they are carrying out climate action, when they are carrying out climate activism. So for me, I would say it has to do with call for action and advocacy. So advocating to necessary agencies. Let's say a company, you have a company close to you that is polluting your water. So you write a letter of advocacy to them, and you write you take a call for action towards the government because they are the people that awarded that piece of land to them. All you have to do is just appeal to the company, and the action will go to the government, while the government in other ways take an action that will influence the company's reaction towards the environment. So that calls for change of action, change of behavior, and then change of whatever they are doing that is against your environment. So I don't know if that really helped them, Rashid.
Thank you, Samuel, a lot. I think this is the great message for the end of the session. Thank you, all of you, for your active participation. We are sending you great regards from the University of Donja Gorica here in Montenegro, and wish you a lot of health and to stay safe and continue working on your project and activities to keep planet safe and clean. So with this, we are finalizing this session. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.